plug it in, push the sound in. There we go. Okay. And we'll reload here. Okay. Are we still live?
Yep.
I'm having a little trouble here. Hold on. I'm not seeing anything.
It says live.
There we go. Took a minute. Is that thing on the right Wi-Fi? Is that thing on Wi-Fi? We had this problem last week and it wasn't on Wi-Fi.
It says you got one viewer. Lisa Stanley Higgins, I see you. Does that make a difference?
I can't see what's going on though.
Ashley Purcell says is watching. So it's not. Does this need to be on Wi-Fi?
No, that should be on Wi-Fi.
Do you want me to check it?
Um,
Pause this.
no. I can't see what's going on, so. I don't know if I'm live or not. I can't tell.
Yeah, well, it says Ashley says she's watching. Lisa says she's watching.
It's so hard to do this without knowing.
Checking my phone.
Hold on, folks. Technical difficulties once again. We'll get it.
Yeah, it's on
Okay. I'm going to have my phone. I'm going to have my phone down here so I can see what's going on. So I hope everybody can hear me, because down here so I can see what's going on. All right, that looks like I got sound. Something is wrong up here with the feed on the computer. It is not. It's just locked up. Okay, so I'm live, I guess. Although I can't see, I'm going to have to watch my phone down here because it's not showing up on the computer, up on the wall, on the screen on the wall. So welcome everybody to the T350 Show. So if you see me keep looking down here, it's because I'm watching the feed on... okay, it's working. All right, yeah, something's wrong with the feed on the actual... feed on the actual computer here. It's not... something is not loading properly. Yeah, see, it's stuck. Okay, we'll continue on without it. Okay. Hello, Angie. Eric's watching. How about that?
Hey, right here.
So, it's almost October. We're continuing down the path of our shows about hunting with our AR. Archery season opened for us last weekend. I did not make it out, and it's been raining here for the last 3 days. Non-stop, it seems. We get an hour of sunshine, we get an hour of rain, we get an hour of sunshine, we get an hour of rain. So, maybe this weekend, we'll see. But, so we talked, when we started talking about hunting with our ARs, we talked about all the different rules and regulations and some of the restrictions surrounding hunting with your AR. And one of the restrictions is ammo. In certain parts of the country, you're not allowed to use what they call neck down ammo or high caliber, high powered rounds. Okay, so this is a 243 Winchester round that would commonly be shot out of the AR-10 platform, and in some parts of the country, Ohio, where we are right now, being one of them, we're not allowed to use these to hunt big game. We're not allowed to use these to hunt deer. Now we can hunt coyotes. Excuse me. We can hunt varmints all we want with this. Excuse me, but we can't hunt deer. We are restricted to what they call straight wall cartridges, straight wall pistol caliber cartridges. You can see there's no neck down on it, right? And that is and again, no neck down. So it's a straight wall pistol caliber cartridge. And there's a bunch of states that used to be shotgun only that have opened up the ability to be able to hunt with the rifle with these straight wall cartridges, and they've become very popular in those states. Another restriction that some states have is that you're not allowed, that you have to use a certain caliber. Now in Ohio, we are restricted, like I said, to the straight walls, but we're also restricted to a 357 or larger bullet, 357 thousandths diameter or larger bullet, which is basically around your 9mm or larger type of bullet. So that's where you get into the 350s, the 450s, the 44 mag, the 45-70, that kind of stuff in your straight wall cartridges. Some states, in fact, don't allow you to hunt big game with the traditional 223 or 5.56 because it's not really powerful enough to ethically harvest big game. It's such a small bullet that, you know, it can do the job, but you know, they want you to use something a little more powerful, something with a little more kick. Some states even restrict you're not allowed to use ball ammunition, and by ball ammunition we mean sending stuff flying here everywhere. Got a little puzzle going on here. So ball ammunition is your target practice ammunition, right? It's just solid ammunition, lead, copper wrapped ammunition, and it's made traditionally for target hunting or target shooting, target hunting. And the reason you're not going to want to use this for hunting is that this bullet is not going to expand. When you're hunting, you want to harvest the animal as quickly and as ethically as possible, and you have to use the proper ammunition to do that. Ball ammunition is not going to expend its energy inside the animal. This ammo is going to enter this size, and it's going to exit probably that size. There's not going to be any deformation like you're going to get with what they call, this is Winchester Deer Season PowerPoint 180 grain 350 Legend ammo. This is what I shoot out of my 350 Legend. You can see it has a lead tip, and I don't know if you can see the little serrations around the edge of the jacket, but that's where that round, as it enters, the lead is going to mush, and especially if it hits a bone or something like that, it's going to mush that aluminum down and start to mushroom that copper jacket out, and where the segments are, it's going to open up much like a flower does, and it's going to open up and it's going to get wider. And as that happens, it expends its energy. It sends its energy out. Okay? And that energy is dispersed inside that animal, causing damage to the organs, and the animal dies much quicker and more humanely than if you were to shoot it with just straight ball ammunition that is going to travel through and not expend any energy. It's basically like taking a pencil and shoving it through your arm. It's going to go in and it's going to come out, and it's going to leave the same size hole. Where something, if that pencil could mushroom open as you start to push it through, it's going to create one hole going in, and it's going to create a bigger hole coming out. And that is that expanding or expansion of energy inside, internally. Ideally, what you want to happen in a perfect world is you want that bullet to enter, travel through the animal, expending all of its energy, and literally be lodged under the fur, under the skin on the far side, so that you know that bullet has expended all of its energy. If it doesn't exit, it's expended all of its energy inside that animal, and it's done the most amount of damage that it can do, thereby giving you the quickest and cleanest kill. Now, exit wounds are great for blood trail, right? If a deer is going to run, you want blood trail. You want to be able to follow it if there's no snow on the ground. So exit wounds are great for that. You, there are times when you absolutely want an exit wound, but in an ideal perfect world, like I said, you want that round to expend all of its energy inside the animal. So the ideal thing would be for it to be lodged under the skin on the far side of whatever, of the chest cavity, if that's what you shot at. I use in my 350, I use these power points. In my 450 Bushmaster, I use hollow points. I think these are from Buffalo Cartridge Company. That's a big wampin' hollow point. That thing is going to really open up inside of an animal. And I've shot a few deer with the 450 Bushmaster and the 350 Legend, and these rounds, man, they'll anchor a deer. They're not going far. They're not going far at all. I've killed half a dozen, 8 deer over the last several years with the 350 and the 450. And, I had the 110-point buck I got a few years ago. He went about 50 or 60 yards. And that was even kind of it wasn't a fantastic shot. It was quartering towards me, took him through the front chest, and the bullet exited out the backside of the left shoulder. So it really only got one lung, and that deer still only went 50, 60 yards, and he was done. Most of them, I'd say probably out of the 7 or 8 that I've killed with these 2 rounds over the last several years, all but 1 or 2 have dropped where they stood. So, you want to use the biggest caliber possible, and giving you the most energy expansion inside the animal. Something like the 243 is a great round for deer and maybe like antelope, that kind of stuff. It's a comparatively small round. There's a lot of powder behind it, but it's a comparatively small round to something like the 35 Remington. Okay, so you're not going to get the distance and long range accuracy that you would with this, but you're going to get some pretty good knockdown power with this, because it's a big heavy bullet, and you can bust a little brush with this. This is a great round. My dad used this all the time in Pennsylvania when he was hunting deer, and this was his kind of one of his go-tos, was the 35 Remington. Even so, there are good options for hunting with a 223. Say you're hunting hogs or coyotes, varmints. You can see right the ball ammunition here, and I don't know if you can see it real well in the camera there, but these are what they call open tip match points. So they are kind of hollow pointed. I'm trying to look at my phone here and make sure that you can see that, but these have a little bit of a hollow point to them. Not huge, but you're going to start to get some flattening out, and once it starts to flatten, it just follows course. It flattens even more. So all you need is something to really start that mushrooming action to happen, and it's going to continue to happen as it travels through that animal. We see all the time they do the ballistic tests online on YouTube and the different places, and they're using ballistics gel. And there's things that the ballistic gel will tell you that it's great for certain things. It's really not that great for real life situations. So ballistic gel is one density and it's one consistency. There's no bone. There's none of this stuff that you're going to get when you're hunting and harvesting animals. Um, the bullet's not going to hit bone. It's traveling unimpeded through a block of ballistics gel that is the same consistency all the way. Well, when you're shooting at an animal, shooting through the lung cavity maybe of an animal, a deer, whatever it might be, say you don't even hit any bones. Say you just travel through meat. Well, lungs have less density than muscle, right? So the muscle has a heavier molecular density than the lungs do. So, as it's traveling through the different forms of tissue, you're going to get different performance out of it. So ballistics gel is great for telling you certain things, and it's great for comparing how different rounds react to ballistics gel and, what the expansion rates are of different ammos. But it's not really great at telling you what's actually happening in the real world in real life. So when you're choosing an ammo to say go deer hunting with, right? So I built my 350 a couple years ago, and I went to the store and I bought like 3 or 4 different kinds of ammo. I bought the standard 145 grain full metal jacket rounds just to get me sighted in. Okay, I bought a box of cheap rounds just to get the gun, make sure the gun was cycling properly, make sure that my scope was on paper, and that everything was functioning the way it should. That way, I'm not shooting the expensive ammunition, trying to get sighted in, and do the function checks on my gun. So you buy a box of cheap stuff to get yourself started, and then I bought 150 XPs, the Winchester Deer Season XPs. I bought the 180 grain SPs, and I bought something else. What was it? Oh, it was the Hornady. The Hornady ballistic tip. I forget what they call it exactly. But I bought the 3 different rounds. And, over the course of the next half an hour while I was shooting these 3 different rounds, I was doing 3-round groups, got myself sighted in with one, and then saw how much movement I was getting with the other rounds. I settled on what gave me the best performance, and that was these Winchester PowerPoints. Winchester 180 grain 350 Legend PowerPoints, and that's what these are right here. These shoot really great out of my 350. I can hit a 1-inch circle all day long at 100 yards, and that gives me the accuracy that I'm comfortable with, and these also give me the performance. I killed. What do we got? Oh, yeah, there's super. Oh, yeah, it was the American Whitetail. Yep, that's right, American Whitetail. That's what it was. These gave me the best performance, so this is what I now hunt with exclusively. I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 boxes at home. I had probably close to 100 rounds. I'm down to about 50 or 60. You don't do a lot of plinking necessarily with your hunting gun. So, this is not a gun that I take to the range and just shoot. One, because I like to keep it sighted in and functioning properly for hunting. And the other is that, you're talking 40, 50 cents a round versus over $1 a round. Okay? So I'm not taking this gun out and just, throwing rounds through it down at the range. I take it out to the range before hunting season, make sure it's still sighted in good. I'll throw half a dozen rounds through it, get a couple, 3 good groups, and then I call it good, And the only time I shoot it again is either when I'm shooting at an animal, or if something happens. Maybe I drop the gun or I bang it off of something and I'm worried that I may have done something to my scope. It's not hard to knock a scope off of alignment and cause issues. Several years ago, when my dad was still alive, we were hunting in Pennsylvania, and he was going up the ladder, and I came up behind him carrying his stuff, and I had the gun. We had an actual set of steps, not a ladder, I should say. I was coming up the steps behind him, and I had the unloaded gun over my shoulder, and I kind of slipped and fell, and I didn't think I had hit the scope, but apparently I knocked the scope off of the side rail going up, because my dad missed a doe about an hour later at about 30, 40 yards, and that man didn't miss. Right there, that man was a heck of a shot. I've watched him shoot deer on the run, and we took the gun. We went back, got him his 270, took that 243 in fact, and we took it back out to the range, and I had knocked that scope off over a foot. The point of impact was off over a foot from me knocking that scope against the rail of the steps going up. So anytime you think you've hit your scope, moved your scope, you obviously want to take it back to the range and reshoot it. Make sure you're re-zeroed. You don't want to take a shot at a gigantic monster buck and miss because your scope isn't sighted in properly. That's the big thing with any of these. The 450 Bushmaster, the 350. If you live in a state where you're allowed to use neck down cartridges, a great hunting round is the 6.5 Grendel, the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 308 in the AR-10 platform. The 6.5 Creedmoor goes on the AR-10 platform. The 6.5 Grendel goes on the AR-15 platform. But these are all great rounds for hunting big game, deer, antelope, that kind of stuff. You're going to get up into elk and caribou hunting and that kind of stuff. You're definitely going to want to step up into the AR-10 world there. The bigger the bullet, the better. Moose, you want some oomph to those guns because those are big animals. You're talking 1,500 plus pounds for a big moose, right? So you need something that's going to take care of that and do the job. So, and we're going to talk some more about that next week. We're going to talk about setting up a rifle, choosing the proper caliber for your hunting situations. And ammo selection is really the same. Choosing the ammo that you need based on the situation. What are you hunting? Are you hunting varmints? Are you hunting deer? Are you hunting antelope? What range are you going to be shooting? Here in Ohio, when we're hunting deer, 100, 150 yards is a long shot for us. We don't usually typically get shots that long in the woods around here. If you get a shot that long, it's out in an open field somewhere. You start going out west where the land gets really flat. The Midwest, you might be shooting 300 or 400 yards, and you're going to want something that is capable of doing that based on what you're allowed to hunt with there. So, it's very specific to ammo selection is very specific to the game you're hunting, the gun you're using, and the laws that are restricted, whatever you're restricted by the state that you live in. So you got to know all those things and take them all into account when you're selecting the ammunition that you want. So, everything from 22, right? We got some 22 ball ammunition here and some CCI Stingers, hollow points, great little squirrel. That's what I use for squirrel hunting here in Ohio. Even your 9mm, right? Your carry gun. You want to, in the event that, God forbid, you have to use deadly force to protect your life or the life of one of your loved ones, you don't want to be slinging ball ammunition at somebody, right? We've all seen the videos of the guy that, coming at the cop or whatever, hopped up on something, he's high on something, whatever it is, and, it takes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots to bring this guy down because, he's not using the right ammunition. So, even with your everyday carry, right, you want to be using the best ammunition you can to give yourself the best chance to do the job that it needs to do. And that's, what do I got here? 9mm, I forget what these are. Forget the name of them. But Carry hollow points. Practice with ball ammunition and carry hollow points. And always whenever you buy some, you want to shoot these every now and then through your carry pistol. You'll make sure that your gun can handle whatever it is you're shooting. You don't want to practice with all of this and then put these in and say, okay, I'm good to go, without trying it. And the same thing is for your hunting rifle. You don't want to be shooting 145 grain ball ammunition out of your hunting rifle and get sighted in and say, okay, I'm good, and then throw 180 grain soft points in there and expect them to hit the same place. The point of impact is going to change. You always want to sight in with the ammo that you've selected to hunt with. So I think I've kind of covered all the bases on choosing ammunition for hunting. Federal HST. Oh yeah, for handgun ammunition. Yeah, that's what critical defense. These might be critical defense. I'm not sure. I have the box is sitting at home on the counter. I can't remember. It's escaping me right now. But going through my questions here, make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions or comments. Yeah, I use the for my 450 Bushmaster. Now I got these for the single shot 450. When I was using, and I sold that gun to my buddy Steve. When I was using the bolt action 450, I was using the Hornady red tip lever revolution rounds out of that gun, and those were good rounds. That was a good hunting round, very accurate, and did a number right. It took down the deer very quickly. So Hornady makes great ammunition. The Winchester has definitely gotten better. Winchester white box is kind of that generic ammo. This Winchester deer season stuff seems to be pretty good in all the different calibers I've tried it in. Federal makes great ammunition. Again, Hornady, try to stick with a name brand, right? You want good ammunition for hunting. Nothing like getting out there and having that big giant buck or that big giant elk or whatever it might be come at you, and you've got cheap ammunition that won't do the job. You always give yourself the best possibility to get the job done and harvest that animal ethically and cleanly. The animal doesn't deserve to suffer, doesn't deserve to go off and die somewhere and suffer like that. So, ideally you want to harvest them quickly and get them back and put them in your freezer. I just had some deer the other day. I was eating deer a couple days ago, trying to get all the deer used up in my freezer because deer season's here and I'm probably going to be reloading it. I went to go make some jerky and I realized I'm out of jerky stuff to make jerky, so I got to get some more kits to make some jerky and some meat sticks. So. All right. Yeah, right. Loading your own. That's a great thing to do too. If you're, if you're extremely particular and into very, very accurate ammunition, loading your own is the way to go. That way you know exactly what you're getting every time, down to the grains of ammunition, and you specifically control everything. Like with anything, factory produced ammunition has a tolerance. And maybe it's, the plus or minus 2 or 3 grains of powder is sufficient for them. Maybe plus or minus 2 or 3 grains on the bullet is sufficient for them. When you're hand loading your own stuff, you can weigh everything individually, and every single round is exactly the same. Exactly, and that's critical to super accuracy, long range super accuracy. So loading your own is a good option if you're into that kind of thing and you can afford all the goodies that come with that. Okay, that's ammo selection for your AR. Like I said, next week we're going to talk about choosing the caliber for the specific type of hunting you're doing. And we hope we see you next week. And maybe I'll have a little bit of hunting exploits to talk about next week when I come in. Who knows? All right, so we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining me. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it, or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. Thanks.